Here's a quick preview of some of the patches that are coming up in this video. They're from a bank of around 100 patches I've just made for the Summit that are all based on tones from my Minimoog Juno 60, OBX8, Korg DW-8000 and my Prophet 5 and Prophet 600, which you can get similar-ish tones from. The patches are restricted to the functions of the originals, and it not only makes for a lovely patch bank of vintage tones, but it also demonstrates the range of tones you can cover with the Novation Summit and the Peak. These will all work on the Peak as well, as I've limited them to a single layer. And I wasn't expecting to copy them exactly. They're all different synths with different filters and overall tones, but I've made sure they've all got close to the character of the originals. And what's coming up was originally intended as a preview for the patch bank I've made that I'd planned to put on my Starsky's Patches channel, where I upload really specific videos about my patch banks and wavetables that you can buy on starskycar.com, because this was just something I did on the side purely for the fun of it while I've been creating a demo of the Summit. Okay, to absolutely hammer home what I've just said there, this might come across as a bit of a sales pitch for a specific sound bank I've made for this, and that's because the video was originally intended to be a supplementary video for my patch bank. I've got another YouTube channel called Starsky's Patches, something like that, that I use to demonstrate patches and sound banks and wavetables that I've got for sale on my starskycar.com website, and I've got on my Patreon as well. So this was intended for that, but when I've been creating a demo for the Summit, as I've been preparing that, editing little bits and bobs, I keep on referring to this and how it's a bit of a chameleon and how it can sound like lots of vintage synths. So don't take it sort of on straight on face value. It's a really flexible thing. So because I keep on referring to this, I think it deserves a place on this channel as well. And also, when I've been editing the video, I've realized that it's just a nice way of seeing what this can do and how you can produce vintage tones on it, and and how good it does sound doing lots of different things. So get over the fact that I'm talking about a single patch bank and just enjoy the fact that I'm talking about how you create those vintage style tones on this, and it'll make it a much more pleasing video. Definitely not meant to be a sales pitch. But once you have watched the video, do buy the sound bank if you want. It comes with 99 tones plus wavetables from the Korg DW-8000 waves and the Prophet 5 stacked wave shape, so you can get a load of tones from that as well. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's go back to that lovely, beautiful musical intro. And you may have seen a couple of Instagram posts where I actually put them together alongside the originals, and I have to say I could get much closer than I first thought. So yeah, pretty close, not identical. You wouldn't expect them to be identical. And in this, I've tried to keep it to tones I would use. So there's no clarinets or oboes or stuff that you get in these sort of original patch banks in these, or in the old synths that I would never use anyway. And they're the first ones that you overwrite if you can. So try to keep it to patches that I would sort of use myself. We kick off then. These are the Juno 60 patches. I've used the chorus on the Juno patches, or some of the Juno patches, obviously, because it's an integral part of the sound. Others, I've used reverb here and there, a little bit of overdrive. I've not used the distortion. And on some of the DW-8000, I've used the delay as well, because it has a delay and a little chorus on it as well. Typical Juno polychord sound. So these are nice starting off points, lots of these as well. If anyone knows Mr. Fingers bass, that's a sort of emulation of it. And this was on those things I played earlier. PWM pad. And with all of these, play around with the filter frequency, play around with the envelope depth. And decay time. And resonance, obviously. So I've not like done that as 4 different tones like you might get on other hatch banks. That's one tone. Play with the frequency, the envelope depth, the decay and the resonance to get all those other tones. So, same again. Add some overdrive as well, make it dirtier. So you can go really nice and dirty on this as well. Synrise. Should have really left the chorus on that. Anyway, we've got 99 to get through, so I'll move quickly on. Another Juno pad. Nice sort of crusty feel to that, sort of crunchy. I'll try to veer away from too many effects, keep it with tones that are quite handy to use. Electric pianos, you do get them on Junos. And it makes a weird electric piano sound, which is why I left it in. Add some overdrive. Maybe some chorus. So do play with these tones, they're not just meant to be static. Fat lead. Yeah. noise shots. Sort of effecty, but a very common Juno tone. That's why I threw that one in there. Clav. Yeah. Reason why I don't put clavs in is because I can't really play a clav. But it's in there because it is a common one. But there are a few organs in here. I've tried to keep them to organs that you might use in a dance track. He says, and then moves over to a 60s organ. And then a rock organ. Still quite funky for a Juno funk bass. All sorts of things you can play with these again. That brass. I've tried to steer clear of too much brass. I'm not a massive fan of it, but it is useful on occasions like that. Juno's idea of choral sound. Quite nice thing, I've got reverb on there. An harp. Not done too many harps on this. Normally just turn the envelope depth and the decay down on things to get a nice little snappy harp. I've got some plucks in here, we'll find some. Now we're over to the OB8 style tones. You can hear it's a much more complex sounding tone because we've got the two oscillators detuned. Definitely got an OB style feel to it, hasn't it? 12 dB on these. Again, brass. I'll have to learn another brass part, won't I? Big sweep tone. Very Oberheim-esque. We don't have sync on this, so there's no sync tones on any of these. Love that tone. Thin pad. Made using thin pulses. And I've tried to mix them up between the Juno, the OB and the Prophet 5, so I'm not playing the same tones on each. LFO, and that's synced to your DAW or whatever the internal frequency or BPM is on this. Again, another tone that you can't do on a Juno. A lovely little melody was playing on this last night. Can't remember what it was. It sounded nice though. Major lead. And again, play with the envelope depth. Decay. Impossibly. And that's because I put the envelope negative. You can't do that on the OB, but it just sounded nice, so I threw it in. Nice big unison tone, bit of reverb on there as well. More big leads. Cool. Yeah, if it says bass, don't just use it as a bass, because that was a bass, but you know. Now we're on to the DW-8000 tones. This is the chorus piano. Now for the DW-8000, obviously you can't use just the analog style waves because it's got digital waves of all different shapes. It's got 16 in total. So I sampled the wave shapes, changed them into wavetables. So if we go into the oscillators here, you can see you've got DW, so that's the DW-8000, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and 11 to 15. The 16th is just a sine, so if I need to use the 16th on it, I just use a sine from that. But in here, we've got all the different wave shapes. So they're included in the pack, and you've got to save them. You've got to go to oscillator page 9 to save them there. I can see there we've got the Prophet 5 when we've got the sine and or was it the triangle and the pulse and the sawtooth all together in various combinations. But just to show you quickly, if you come back to, let's go to oscillator page here. So this is DW 1 to 5 I'm using. If I just listen to oscillator 1, so the shape is going to be either, because this interpolates between the shapes and we've only got distinct waves on this, so that's the sawtooth. We go to -32, this is the next one. I mean, you can use between them, but to get the exact DW-8000, that's the next wave. Next one's at 0. Next one's at +32. Which is what we're using here, I think. And then the next one's at 63. So -63, -32, 0, +32, and +63, all the 5 different waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the same for obviously 6 to 10 as well. Here it's a 32, and you've got the next one, 0, +32, and 63. So that's how I've programmed the DW-8000 tones. And you can really hear a difference between that and the Juno, can't you? Which I thought was quite cool. Slap. Can't do that on a Juno either. Different digital style to that, isn't it? What we've got here, mod lead. So there's some delay on that, because there is a delay on the DW-8000. Acoustic piano. Again, non-Juno style tones. Beautiful 80s Alecki piano. Jazz organ. Is this what you used for this? Can't remember how to play it. Only did it yesterday. Something like that. See if I can do it one more time. No. Forgot it. I love that you get these different flavors out of it. It's great. Choir. Bit more realistic than the Juno. Because that's what angels would sound like. So, cathedral organs. Again, just because you can't do the one of the others, this is nice. No reverb again on these, but throw a little bit on, have a listen. Chorus maybe. Nice. As I say, play around with them. Again, I put that in because it doesn't sound like a Juno or an OV. And this really does sound like my DW-8000, by the way. It has velocity sensitive keys, the others don't. So you can hear there. They didn't really play with it too much in those days. Another jazz organ. See if I can do it again. Where's he going with that left hand? Ah, nearly. DW-8000 has got this thing like an auto glide. You can hear it there. So I've used modulation envelope 2 to do that, and then detuned some of them in order to get there. So if you're playing around with the tone, you think, what are you wondering why it's out of tune? That'll be why, but it's in tune now. But the auto bend, yeah, will rely on where the sustain ends. So let's put that on just to show you. Mod env 2. See? Again, DW-8000 delay. Now we're on to the Minimoogs. So Minimoog, you've got 3 oscillators. We can modulate the frequency of the cutoff with oscillator 3. So on the Minimoog, you'd use oscillator 3 in low frequency mode as an LFO, or if you want to use it for audio rate modulation, you leave it in high mode, and we can do that here with oscillator 3 filter mod. And we can use either of the LFOs for standard LFO duties. But typical Minimoog sound. So this is different to anything on the DW-8000, the OB-8 or the Juno, because we've got 3 oscillators. So just trying to give different flavors, really. Nice, that uses a couple of octaves between a couple of the oscillators. Can't do things like PWM on the Minimoog. You can do stuff like that. I've used the overdrive a fair bit on the Minimoog tones. Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it? Major one. Again, try some reverb. So I really do encourage you to play around with these tones, because there's loads in there. Very Minimoog-y, that, isn't it? As is that. And I can actually hear, I don't know whether you can or not, but there's a definite feel when you're using these sort of tones to it sounding, you know, within these patches, different to the Juno patches. Maybe it's just because I'm using more, well, it will be because I'm using more oscillators and the like, but these are the sort of tones I would do on my Minimoog. So this is using FM to filter the frequency of the filter. Give it some grit and dirt. Lovely that, isn't it? I suspect this is too. Almost got a sync style tone, that, hasn't it? Oh, I've missed one out there. I'll have to throw one in there. I put most of these on mono legato. Well, have a go in poly. And you can hear there's some reverb in there as well. Trying to give an idea of how you'd use them in a track. Again, using oscillator 3 as the filter modulation source. I'll open it because I'm opening the filter with the modulation, or I'm increasing this basically. Just like you would on the Mini. Again, you couldn't do that on the Juno, the OB, or the DW-8000. Just looking at that says pad, and obviously we're back onto the polysynth here. We're onto the Prophet 5. So you couldn't do that on a Minimoog. Get close to the OB, but you couldn't do it on the Juno either because the Juno has only got a single oscillator and this has got 2 detuned. Lovely. Again, back to this line. Similar to the OB, but I've got it on 24 dB there. Low strings. Another organ. So try again. And maybe turn that down a bit. Knock it down an octave. Doesn't quite work for that though, does it? But Prophet style organ, a soft trumpet. Although I don't really generally use trumpets, that's got a really nice synthy tone to it. Brassy fifths, this is nice. Really raw tone to it like that. Let's add a little bit of reverb. Maybe turn it up. Gorgeous that, isn't it? Nice harsh sort of tone to that. This is emulating having the Prophet 5's oscillator 2 in low mode, so that's where the LFO is coming from. But I'm using one of them. But I'm modulating the speed of the LFO with the keyboard in the modulation matrix. There you go. And if you put it at plus 32, it doubles the speed per octave. Just like keyboard tracking on the Prophet 5. I love this. Bit of chorus. More reverb. Delay maybe. So as I say, play with stuff with these. They are very much starting points. Fuzzy pluck. Oh yeah. Gorgeous. So you can definitely hear they were much more complex than the Juno. You can hear there's some little bit of fuzz in there and probably modulating the cutoff with an oscillator as well. Yeah. It's easier to use than the Prophet 5 actually, because this obviously is like a through zero modulation, I think, because it's not detuning. If you do anything like that on the Prophet or the Minimoog, as you add that, it detunes. You have to detune everything. Anyway, lovely. Nearly there. So these are getting more complex at the end, so I'm not just repeating similar themes throughout each of the synths. Twinkle or pad. Nearly there, beauty pad. And that really is gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely love this. Again, gorgeous. This is the final one. Let's add a load of reverb, shall we just? Sonar-like, isn't it? Crunchy. A little bit of Robert Miles to end with. So yeah, there's my 99, well 98 at the minute. I'll have to throw another one or two in. But yeah, I really do like the way that the Summit can emulate, and has got all those sort of characters, it's like very much like a chameleon, isn't it? It can get lots and lots of different things out of it. It can go from really beautiful to really harsh and nasty. And yeah, and enjoy the pack. So the pack does come with, it comes with the samples, plus it comes with the Prophet 5. I should have mentioned on the Prophet 5 actually, if you come back into the oscillators here, on some of these, let me just find one. I'm looking for one that uses the more. There are some. There we go, on more. So if we go into the oscillator on this, we're using P5, a bit like the DW-8000. If I take the other oscillators off, just listen to one. Turn that up. You've got the saw. Go to 30 minus 32, and this will be the saw and the square. So that's when you've got the saw and the square working simultaneously on the Prophet 5. Saw, square and triangle, so all three of them. You get that on oscillator 2. And then this is the sine and the triangle, I think, at 32. Then this, or the triangle and the square. So all options. Because obviously you can't have, on this, you can't have the triangle and the square, or the triangle and the sawtooth, for example. So I've made them for you because I'm so nice. So a note on these, once you've loaded them in, you need to save them. So we need to go to oscillator page 9. and then you save the various waveforms that you've got in there. You loaded them into Wavetable. I've loaded them into Wavetable 1, 2, user Wavetable 1, 2, and 3 for the DW, and user Wavetable 4 for the P5. So it will refer back to those wavetables. So you will need to put the wavetables into user 1, user 2, user 3, and user 4 in order for the sounds to sound correct. Cool. I hope that all made sense. I hope you like the tones, and I hope you buy the pack. It's available on my saw+sq+triangles.com website, and obviously patrons can get access to it as well. So I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. If it was, please do subscribe, ring the bell, share, join me over on Patreon. Patrons will get access to this, as well as access to tutorials, wavetables, samples, loads of other presets, and other little goodies. And as you know, this channel is also funded by YouTube ads and affiliate links, so click on them if you're looking to buy something, and also take a look at my saw+sq+triangles.com website, where this pack will be made available. And most of all, I hope you really enjoyed that, and thanks for staying to the very end. I will be back in a couple of weeks with a whole demo on the Summit, my take on the Summit, effectively. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe click on those notifications. Anyway, I will see you next time.